There are moments that carve themselves into your memory so deeply that no matter how many years pass, you can recall every detail. The way the air smelled, the way the ground felt under your feet, the way your chest ached as though your ribs were collapsing. For me, that moment was the night I saw my wife, Claire, in another man's arms. I hadn't planned to see it. In fact, I had trusted her completely. She had told me she was going out with friends from work. Just drinks, nothing big. I had believed her, because that's what you do when you love someone. You believe them. But something tugged at me that evening, something quiet and insistent. Call it instinct, call it suspicion, call it fate. Whatever it was, I drove downtown, thinking maybe I'd surprise her, maybe bring her flowers, maybe be the husband who shows up just to say, I missed you. Instead, I found myself standing on the sidewalk across from the bar, flowers in hand, heart in my throat, watching through the window as she leaned into him. He wasn't a stranger. No, that was the cruelest part. He was someone I knew, Mark, her colleague, the man she always swore was just a friend. His hand rested on her back like it belonged there, his face too close to hers, their laughter too intimate. And then, as if the universe wanted to drive the knife deeper, she kissed him. Not a quick, drunken mistake, but slow, lingering, desperate. The flowers slipped from my hand. My chest burned. And for a long moment, I just stood there, watching my wife betray me in his arms. I could have stormed in. I could have caused a scene, demanded answers, shouted her name until she turned pale. But I didn't. Instead, I walked away. Quiet. Broken. The kind of broken that no noise could fix. When she came home later that night, her hair messy, her cheeks flushed, she acted as if nothing had happened. She kissed my cheek, smiled, and said, "You're still up," as if she hadn't just shattered me hours earlier. I wanted to confront her then, but something stopped me. Maybe it was disbelief. Maybe it was hope that what I'd seen was a mistake, a drunken lapse, something that didn't mean what it looked like. Or maybe it was the cruelest form of self-preservation, silence. Over the next few days, I studied her every move. How she laughed at her phone, how she avoided my eyes, how she suddenly worked late more often. And yet, when she came home, she slipped into my arms, kissed me like I was still hers, touched me like nothing was wrong. And that was what destroyed me the most. Not the kiss I had seen, not even the betrayal itself, but the way she came back, as if I still belonged to her. She still wore my ring, still called me love, still cooked my favorite meals, as if she could hold both lives in her hands and never drop one. As if I was too blind, or too weak, to notice. Every night she curled against me in bed. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying that moment in the bar. I could still see her head tilted back in laughter, his hand on her waist, her lips pressed to his. It played like a cruel film I couldn't turn off. One night, I whispered into the darkness, "Why are you here, Claire? Why come back to me?" She stirred in her sleep but didn't answer. Maybe that was the answer. Maybe she came back because it was easy. Because she knew I loved her too much to leave, too much to confront her, too much to break the life we'd built. But she was wrong. The truth is, I had already left her the night I watched her in his arms. Not physically, not yet, but something inside me had broken beyond repair. She may have come back into my bed, my house, my life, but she no longer had my heart. She had traded it that night for someone else's touch. And every time she looked at me with that practiced smile, every time she leaned into me as if I was still hers, I felt nothing but emptiness. The cruelest part? She didn't even notice. She thought I was still there. She thought she still owned me. But I was gone. I watched my wife betray me in his arms. And now I watch her every day as she tries to pretend nothing has changed. But I know the truth. She lost me that night. And though she may have come back, smiling, touching, claiming, I no longer belong to her. And I never will again.